Welcome to Money Hacks, where we offer tips for the newcomer to the financial investment scene. Have you ever wanted to invest in something which is not simply locked away elsewhere, but can be appreciated up close daily, or even have some value if you hold on to it for a while? Today we look at the possibility of starting out in the world of luxury wristwatches or timepieces. I'm Ernest Lewis and my co-host is Christopher Lim, digital editor of the Business Times. With us is Dylan Tan, deputy editor of the Business Times Lifestyle Desk. Welcome to the show, Dylan.
Hi.
So, Dylan, tell us, what is this world of watches out there, or luxury watches to be more exact, timepieces? What are the numbers like?
This world of watch trading, thanks to the internet now, I think has become even more prominent than ever. I mean, there are various ways you can, sell your watches. You can bring it to a trader in a shop. You can rent a store at a flea market and try and sell it. But you can also go online and list your stuff and then get people to bid on it. I mean, eBay is obviously one of the places where you get a lot of you'll find a lot of luxury watches being traded on. Facebook groups, online forums. So
the term for this world is horology.
Horology, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to expand on that?
I think horology just basically refers to the art of watchmaking.
There's an art to it, as you said. I mean, It's in the detail.
What sets a $100 watch apart from a $100,000 watch is obviously craftsmanship. Mm-hmm. A $100,000 watch would mean this guy probably spent a lot of time doing it by hand, whereas a $100 watch would probably just raw from a production line. So you get what you pay for.
Okay, we've talked about investing, in monetary choices. This episode is a bit different. What is there a value in investing in yourself in this case, in the world of wristwatches?
I think most importantly, you should buy what you like first, and that investment part would actually come later. I think if you go in purely for the sake of investing, it could be a bit risky. I think the whole point about buying a watch is really enjoying it and being able to put it on rather than buying a stock and you can't put on you can't wear your stock out, can you?
Yeah. Okay, Chris, you want to jump in here?
Well, Dylan, imagine I'm a young man in my late 20s or early 30s. I'm finally starting to build some career momentum. And all the career gurus I read online say that you have to look the part. And okay, I've got myself some shoes and clothes already, but I'm still wearing my G-Shock, which I love and I'll continue to wear when I exercise. But I want to invest in something a bit more dressy. What should I look at and how much should I reasonably spend?
I think you start you're at a good starting point. I think with the G-Shock, if you look, there are actually various models of G-Shock. There are actually dressier versions of G-Shock. So I imagine the one that you're putting on now is the most basic streetwear $100.
It's the rubber
right?
strapped one. Yeah.
I think when you go for when you meet your clients and all that, you probably want to wear something a little bit dressier. So that probably wouldn't work. So there are actually G-Shocks that are very, very dressy. They can go up to about $1,000 even, or even more. There's this one that goes up to about $10,000.
Wow, wait. So what am I getting for $1,000 for my G-Shock?
You're getting craftsmanship. That's the difference. There's a difference in the $100 G-Shock and a $10,000 G-Shock.
Is it made of metal or?
It is mostly made of metal. It's probably made by hand. Production run is probably very limited. Casio has a line in Yamagata, has a factory in Yamagata that only produces this premium collection of Casio watches. When you put on a $1,000 G-Shock, it feels quite different.
Since you mentioned the price tag, I obviously can't afford a really expensive watch unless I do it on credit. 24-month, 36-month, interest-free installments on a credit card somewhere. Should I be doing that actually? Can I justify that to myself by saying, this watch will hold its value or even appreciate, so I can justify spending a bit more than I can afford? Or should I be wary of spending too much at this stage in life? I'm not sure.
I think if you break it up into 24 months or 48 months or 36 months even, you're setting aside, that's actually quite sensible financial planning. I think it's the equivalent of, say, if you buy a $10,000 watch and you spread it over, I don't know, over a year, over 2 years, so you'd be paying about, say, maybe about just under $500 a month. I think that's a reasonable amount to start. And I think the important thing as well is what you're getting, what you're paying for in the end is something that most likely would hold its value a lot longer than say buying a $50 watch.
So we're talking about $5,000, $10,000 now. What other brands could I be looking at, especially those that will hold their value?
Okay, I think what has happened with the Swiss watch industry in the last couple of years is they're very aware of the economy, and they know things are not going so well. People are not buying mega expensive watches, and there's also a newer generation of watch collectors who are just trying to get into the hobby, people like yourself. So what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years is we've seen a lot of brands introducing slightly more affordable entry-level prices. So I think if you're looking at a good brand to get into, Omega is a pretty good brand. Rolexes are quite timeless, but even if you look at something like Mont Blanc has something for under $5,000 these days as well. IWC has that kind of price points. So I think you're in a very good position now if you're looking at buying a luxury watch.
Thanks for your advice, Dylan.
So I think there's a difference because Chris is trying to do this Ryan Gosling look, But let me pose you a different scenario. I'm a hip senior uncle, I still have my legendary Steve McQueen in mind. Tag Heuer, Monacos and all that. But I'm still trying to look at ways to diversify my watch portfolio. Are there any brands that I should look at besides, the ones that I've been stuck with since the 70s or so?
Of course, I think there are a lot of independent brands as well. Then they don't come cheap, of course, because production is very low. The factory is very small. They've got less people working for them. But they do quite exciting things with watches. If you look at a brand like, say, MB&F, that's a great brand. If you can afford it, go for something like from Richard Mille. I think that is probably the next level of collecting. If you've already been there, you've done that. You've got your Steve McQueen, you've got your Tag Monaco.
I mean, I have a few Rolexes. I have a few Patek Philippe's, but I'm looking for something that's a bit different.
Yeah,
something of value that still holds its value. Actually,
I think the independent brands, even starting from Richard Mille. I think Richard Mille is probably the brand at the moment now. The watches are excellent. They don't look like watches. They look more like racing machines. I think that's what they call it. They call it a racing machine for your wrist. Richard Mille is a good place for you to look at. There's a shortage. A lot of Richard Milles go for above retail in the resale market. So yeah.
Well, thanks for being on the show, Dylan.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for the advice. Appreciate it.
I hope you guys enjoy your watches.
Look out for more podcasts on various topics on the Straits Times and the Business Times. Now, to you, our listener, we'd like to invite you to pose your own questions or scenarios to Money Hacks at podcast@sph.com.sg. That brings us to the end of this episode of Money Hacks, where we help you make sense of trends and your finances. Do note that any financial or investment information in this podcast is for use in Singapore only and is intended to be for your general information. Any particular investment or decision should only be made after consulting with a fully qualified financial advisor.